I couldn't be more excited to introduce you to one of my favorite companies in Iowa, Accumold. Accumold is breaking the mold literally on so many things. They are a micro product manufacturer, and their cutting edge technology, the way they recruit students, and the innovation that goes on behind those four walls is extraordinary. I hope you take a listen and learn how we can teach others to innovate like they are and bring more and more of our kids into careers in manufacturing. It is such a joy to have two people from one of my favorite companies in the state in the studio with me today. I've got Brett Sidoris, who is the technical marketing director, and I've got Grace Swanson. Grace, we've known each other for way too long. It'd give away our age. Grace is VP of Human Capital for Accumold, and I have been a fan as long as I've known about the company. You guys are one of those hidden gems in the company. No one knows what goes on behind your four walls, but you are supporting so many industries and so much important work. Can you talk about the industries that you serve?
Yeah,
sure.
With us, we literally make an impact within medical, government, aerospace, electronics. The cell phone industry is not where it's at without us being able to support them back in the infancy. Optical surgeries and those type of diseases that we've been able to help with.
Connectors.
What else are we missing? Connectors with the age of the data centers that we all hear about and know about. That's just growing and growing, and we've been able to truly make an impact in that industry.
The thing that struck me on my first tour was what an advantage you have, because you are a micro molder. And that means your parts are teeny tiny, and your shipping costs are minimal. Your equipment doesn't take up quite as much space as a lot of industries. Certainly your inbound product and your outbound end product don't take up a lot of space. You can do a lot in a fairly small amount of space. That being said, talk about the expansions that you guys have seen since the roots, and talk about the roots of the company.
Yeah, and so the roots are 40 years old. It was 40 years ago, literally this year, 1985, when our founders decided that they noticed a problem that could not be taken care of with conventional tools, of what was available. So on weekends, weeknights, they went home in their garage and they literally built from the ground up an injection molding press with the purpose of making very small micro parts. Quality innovation was at that foundation, and it's still at our foundation today. Our current CEO, President Roger Hargens, he was one of the earlier investors, came across the guys, and he's been there ever since. And really, it was a garage that went to another garage after maybe a couple years. That was Magazine Road here in Ankeny, and we moved down to Orr Labor Road. 2001, we opened the first building, about a 30,000 square foot facility with everything there. Mater tools, the quality, the run-in production. 2011, we opened up the second building, so basically doubled in size. And then in 2016, the third building came on, and it has grown to 130,000 square feet. That third building is the little story we love to tell, is the bunker that we call it. It's 44,000 square foot hardened facility that has an EF5 resistant rating. So that EF5 tornado comes through, we actually have the ability to withstand it. We do that because we're a sole source provider for a lot of these very important industries. The owner was asked years ago, hey, if something happens to you guys, what is going to happen to our parts? This was what came from that. Our owner didn't want to split the team, didn't want to split the expertise. loves Central Iowa. His house is in Johnston. He is a Central Iowa kind of guy. He's an old farm kid from Northwest Iowa, wasn't he?
West Central.
Yes.
He grew up 20 miles north of me.
There you go. So he wanted to stay home. And that bunker has redundant power, energy, water. It is able to withstand and continue production. So these industries that we do impact will not be impacted by a natural disaster. They know they're still going to get the parts that they need.
Grace, one of the frustrations that I have as I talk to people that aren't familiar with the manufacturing industry is they don't understand how much innovation and creativity goes into what you do. Talk about how you foster that innovation and what you're looking for in your employees.
So Accumold has roughly 350 employees. We operate 24/7, and we have a strong scholarship program at DMACC. We also partner with NIACC and Indian Hills. And 4 years ago, we started a high school program, bringing in high school students for 2 hours a day, 4 days a week, to introduce them to manufacturing, because so many people think manufacturing is like a Henry Ford plant.
Right?
Dusty, dirty. And one of the comments we hear from people who tour from Iowa or around the world is how clean your facility is. And it is actually air conditioned and moisture controlled year round. And we need that for our manufacturing process. But our tool makers go home and they're in the same outfit that they started with. So that's a big plus for them. The scholarship opportunity, bringing people to DMACC, gives them the ability, first of all, to have their tuition paid for. Then, while they're going to DMACC, they work part-time at Accumold, so they learn how production works, how the machines work. They develop relationships with the people in production, so that then, when they move to their second year of the tool program, they learn the tool side and build their first mold, and now they're taking it out to the plant, to the people they worked for, and they've already got relationships, and they're saying, hey, this is going great, this went faster than we thought. So all that learning keeps recycling itself.
Talk about the Accumold Scholars program and what that throughput looks like into your operation today. You started it 20 years ago?
In 2006, and since that time, we have hired 120 scholars. Now, of that 120, some lasted a day and said, oh, you know what? I think I'd really like to go to car pinstriping. I'm going to go work at Carl Chevrolet. More power to you. Fine.
Or like there was a joke, I just toured the facility, and tool and die making is one of their most needed jobs on the plant floor, and it's not hair dye. So I'm sure they came in thinking they were learning how to dye hair, and no, it's tool and die.
And robotics. And so out of that 120, we have 2 scholars that have been there 20 years.
Crazy.
And we have 80 scholars that have been there each year after. So of those 20 years, we only have 3 years that we don't have scholars. That's because crazy. They're now landscape or they're working at another company. Rarely does anyone leave Accumold and do what they're doing for us.
Wow. Brett, I want to talk about the different industries that you represent and the importance of relationship at Accumold.
Yes.
Many of these companies you've been working with since you were founded.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you evolve as they evolve. Technology is at rapid fire rates of progress. How do you and your partners maintain innovation and stay one step ahead of the competition?
That's the differentiator, right? Is that innovation. What we do at a small scale is able to let people be very innovative. Do a lot of stuff in a very small footprint is key. So from our side, it's a true partnership. We call our customers strategic partners. They're just not a number. We work with on a daily basis design teams from a top 100 med tech company. They're talking with our guys. Hey, this idea, this is what we want. We are able to say, because we're well over 7,000 completed projects, we're able to say, no, don't do that. Or like, yeah, that's a great idea. Or we have no idea. We'll find out for you. We have an internal innovation team that literally strives to fail because they know success is going to be around the corner.
I love that.
They constantly are doing things to make sure that we are prepared to work with certain resins or certain types of geometries within a part. So customers come along, they are working on an idea. Hey, they show us, here's the idea. What do you think this is? It's more than a quote that goes back out. It's, this is great. We think we can do this. We'd be able to do it this way, that way. Oh, you want to use this type of resin. You know what? That's really hard to work with. We think you should be able to do this. Oh, we can't do that because it's too soft or it's too hard. Oh, okay. You know what? Why don't you try this instead? And it's that back and forth. We truly say that we're here because we had to innovate over the years. Our partners are the ones that helped us innovate. A great example is about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, LSR, liquid silicone rubber. It's a great material to use for a lot of different applications. We weren't doing anything with it. Customers said, hey, do you do this? We said no, but then what do you do immediately afterwards? We start messing with it. Can we use this? Does this work? And we're able to go back and say, hey, you asked about LSR? Let's do this. Let's try this out. And some successes were there, some failures were there, and today it's just continuing to grow. Just a new innovation that wasn't there 5 years ago.
Grace,
Maybe another example of that is Accumold engineers are on patents of our customers.
Wow.
Because we so influenced the design of their innovative product.
that is so cool. One of the most important inputs that you have are the people doing the work. One of my favorite stories on the tour that we just went on, additive manufacturing is what you might know as 3D printing. We got to meet Chris Hunt, who is their additive manufacturing manager. And Chris actually taught one of the equipment manufacturers that they use that their equipment is capable for far more than they even realized. And the quote he used, and I love this, and I'm going to take it on myself, and I do this a lot, by the way. He said, "I didn't know I couldn't." How often does that happen
Oh, well,
at Accumold?
the LSR is a good example. One of the other innovations that Accumold has is that we build all of our trade secret micromold machines at Accumold. We build all of our molds at Accumold. We don't send anything to China or somewhere else.
You've got control of the process.
We have control of the process, plus we have control of the intellectual property. And that's critical for our customers. Some of our customers have experienced having cheaper molds made overseas.
Sure.
And then come back to us and said, will you help us redesign this?
That's amazing. There are so many advantages to what you do. And we talked a little bit about the fact that the parts don't take up much space. And you were talking about sourcing. I said, so have the tariffs impacted you at all? You're using rare earth minerals in some of your parts.
Yep.
Those can be very expensive, but you're like, that's not a big issue for us because we don't use that much. So talk about that's just a totally different. You're right down the street from John Deere and their huge combine factory, right?
Yes, yes.
Your problems and challenges are so completely different.
Well, if you think about many of the parts we make, they make a grain of salt look chubby.
It's true.
It's a good way of putting it, yes.
Talk about those tolerances too. We had some statistics that I learned in the tour. A hair follicle, was it 20?
70 microns.
70 microns. And your parts go down to how many microns?
1.
1.
Yes.
So you divide a hair by
Cross
70.
Yep.
Your tolerances have to be so minute.
Yes.
And that's why you'll see microscopes on all of our machinists' workbenches, because they're doing a lot of their work underneath a microscope.
Yep. Yep. And we get the question like, oh, how do you work on that? A lot of our work is actually done on a 40-inch TV because it's under a microscope, then projected up. So even though it's a small part, it's actually on a big giant monitor. It makes it a lot easier.
What are your greatest challenges today?
Our team, making sure we're ready to grow. As I was saying, 2000, we went from a garage to a building, and now we're at 3 buildings. A 4th building isn't far for us. We need the bodies to be in there. The challenge is getting people also to understand how small you can go. One of the quotes we love to say at a trade show is, somebody says, what's the smallest part you made? We don't know yet. Nobody's challenged us to a point we can't do it. Getting designers out there in the world to realize you can go smaller and you can do more in that smaller footprint, and giving us that chance to innovate.
And one of the things that we run up against working with the schools is there's continues to be so much emphasis on get a 4-year degree. Well, we have people with 2-year degrees that are making 6-figure salaries.
Wow.
So it's really innovation and integrity and the ability to work with your hands, to think through complex problems mathematically. Having people who want to come to work every day really changes the culture of a company. And that's what we look for when we're hiring people.
Awesome. Brett, let's talk about sales and marketing. There aren't many companies that do what you do. Of the companies that do what you do, what is your market share?
That's a great question. We don't have a number that we put on it. We define it by saying we're one of the very few companies in the world that can make something as small as what we can do. A lot of companies can make a few parts small, but they can't make it at 100,000 parts a month. They can't make it at scale. They can make a great little part, but they can't sustain it for years. And that's what we look for in that strategic partner. We want to help anybody, but we want to really help the people that are making something that's going to be around for 10 years, 20 years. And it is a very unique challenge to make that many parts, whether it's small or big, year after year after year in consistency. So yeah, do we say a number for market share? No, we never have, because we know what we do. We know not everybody needs us, that's for sure. From a marketing side, it's really nice because I know it's well defined. I know I don't have to scream from a mountaintop because not everybody needs us. But the companies that do med tech and the different data center parts that are out there, it's easy to find them, easy to talk with them, and usually they know that they know when they need us. They know that we will do a good job with them.
And I would imagine your online presence has to be a good one, because you're not just operating here in the United States. You're not just helping U.S. companies. How many countries are you currently providing products to?
So 27, we ship out to 27. About 60% of that is South America. Costa Rica has an amazing manufacturing subset down there in the med tech world. A very highly educated general basis, just very good skills. About 25% is Europe, where we're shipping it, and then the rest is Southeast Asia is where the parts go off to. For us, though, it is Western Europe. It's North America. That's where the big companies, that's where a lot of technology is. That's where we focus on.
And I think something to add is that many of our customers are plastic injection molders themselves.
Yep.
They just don't have the skill to do what we've been doing since 1985.
That's something I never even thought of.
Yep.
So they can go to a certain level, but once it gets more complex or too small, then they'll just send it over to you.
It is interesting. We're in business with companies that technically are our competitor.
Yeah.
And we'll be competing at a trade show, but they know that really we're a standoff or a one-off because we do something and they use us for that very unique injection molding that's needed.
And that's part of the advantage we have in inventing and then continuing to add innovation to our trade secret micromolding presses. So our customer might pay $400,000 for a micromold part and mold, but the only thing they'll see is that tiny little part in the palm of their hand. And you really have to trust your supplier if you're going to go that far.
No kidding.
Yep.
And one of the things that struck me on the tour was the packaging. So imagine, and I'll show this to you all, and you can't see them at all, but there are, looks like 5 little parts within this, and they are, you would think they're a fleck, just an absolute fleck, but it's a complex part. And there's a lot of waste that comes from this little tiny part. The thing that struck me on that tour is, what do you do with that waste? Because it can't be used in a lot of these pristine industries. So talk about your recycling program, the percentage of recycling. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we are really excited about that because lowering our carbon footprint has always been part of our goals. And so our recycling program was actually started by one of our shipping clerks, who is now the supervisor over shipping and receiving. And we have been recognized nationally for recycling 100% of our manufacturing waste. So that's not only the plastic scraps or the metal scraps that go in that, but we have 8 clean rooms. And so the hair nets and the beard nets and the gowns, all of that gets recycling, all of our cardboard. When we grind up our plastic scrap, we sell that and it turns into Weber grills or plastic banana holders or kids' toys, because we don't put it back into the press, because we would never want to introduce impurities because we make so many medical parts.
Gotcha.
If some of the other plastics, or many of the other plastic companies around the world, will just grind it up and put it back in because they're making ATV covers or things that, purity isn't critical.
Let's talk about efficiency and how much you inspire innovation in lean manufacturing within your workforce, and how much investment that you've made in making sure you are running as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, that's your ballpark right there.
So let's just, you might go visit another plastics company and they will have employees taking buckets of plastic pellets and pouring them into a dryer that will pull the moisture out. We have implemented direct feed opportunities where the material goes from a large Gaylord box through the ceiling to a dryer that feeds right into the press that's going to mold the parts after the moisture has been removed from it.
Wow. And you can really see that in the flow of the entire building. There was one space that we went into that is poised for future growth because you see that coming. And it's almost like a Lego set in that room. Talk about the thoughtful process that you go through in planning for growth when you're building these new facilities.
Well, fortunately, we are really lucky with Roger Hargens as our CEO, president, and owner because he is a visionary. And how lucky you are to work for a company who has a visionary because he has already plotted out our next building, and he did that when we bought the land back in 2000.
My gosh.
So our HR group is the very last office at the end of a long hallway, and he just says, well, you're in the middle of the building. I just haven't built the other buildings.
That's what you're told. Yeah, that's what you're told. Sure.
Brett, I'd love to know your background and how you were recruited over to Accumold.
Yeah, my background actually, I have about 10, 11 years in manufacturing. Is with Old Townsend Engineering.
Sure.
It's Morel now, but they made food processing equipment. So massive stainless steel. But it's still B2B manufacturing, and instead of selling a processing equipment line that takes up an entire massive facility, it's selling a very teeny tiny couple 100-micron part, or the ability to make that part, I guess I should say. I've been in marketing since day one. And I'm a Johnson High School graduate. I tried to leave, and typical Iowa story, right? You can get away from Iowa for a few years, but it just brings you back. There's just
call that
something
the
about this
boomerang,
place.
Brett,
It
and I
is.
love it.
Go out and experience it, know what's out there, and realize how great it is right here. And for me, I had no business knowing who Accumold was, exactly the way you started. What is that building? Well, I wonder what they do. But I knew who they were. I knew who they were because of just the community impact. Nobody buys a little teeny tiny plastic part in Iowa. We don't have a customer here. But we work
crazy?
with DMACC. We are with ABI. We are heavily involved in supporting and being out in the public. So I knew who they were. Whatever you want to call it, the one day I decided to look at a website was the one day they had a marketing job up. Been lying to them ever since. Grace obviously believes me. But yeah, that's my background, and it's been amazing. And that's a testament to really what this company's been for 40 years is there's no reason I should know who they are. And I knew exactly who they were, and I was excited when I saw an opportunity to maybe just come interview, let alone actually get a job with them.
And Grace, in contrast, you've been there how long?
15 years.
15 years. And that innovation that exists in the production process at Accumold also exists in your HR department. You mentioned Iowa Learns and the work that you're doing with Iowa Learns with the high school internships. You mentioned the Accumold Scholars. Are there other innovations, and I'm confident there are, that you've applied in employee benefits, in onboarding? Are there other things you want the audience to know that you have implemented that have really changed the workforce at Accumold?
Well, I think one of the things is we don't look at the workforce as you're a machinist or you're a robotic technician or you're an HR generalist. What we look at them at is, what are you passionate about? So we have a production planning person who goes out to the high school and helps kids learn how to interview. That gives him, Kenny takes great pride in that. We will bring our scholars on career fairs at high schools or at community college. We will we bring many people on tours through Accumold. And our scholars will have a station. And one station will be to describe mold and how tooling works and how long they've been at Accumold and what do they like about it. And we'll bring large groups in that are representing other companies. For instance, Cirrus's HR team was just there last week. And so we had 17 different HR people from companies in northern Iowa tour Accumold, meet our scholars. We had a scholar tell them about his experience. And so because we see them as more than what they're doing, they get variety. Our average tenure is 8.5 years.
That is a lifetime in today's measures. I am not kidding you.
Yes.
And in our scholarship program, which has been going since 2006, we have anywhere from 3 to 10 scholars a year throughout the year, depending on DMACC students. And in all but 3 of those 20 years, we still have scholars.
Wow.
So some scholars have been there 20 years, and other scholars have been there 4 months. So it's really exciting, and they get a lot of attention.
So there's a lot of conversation going on around the coming silver tsunami, is what they're calling it. They're saying 240,000 seniors will be retiring in 2030. And from the research that we've done, the only way to survive that with a whole workforce being able to continue at your current operational level is to automate. You guys are doing an amazing job in automation. The other is to recruit your relative percentage of Gen Z and Alpha, which you are doing amazingly. They say the third way is to retain 25% of your seniors beyond retirement age. Are you working with any of your...
We have 55 people out of the 350 odd people that we have, or they're not odd, but that we hired after they were 60.
Stop it. I love that. So many people have given up on anybody over 55. You talk, and I've been, in the workforce and looked at different positions, and I just respect that so much, because that institutional knowledge, the work ethic, the wisdom, the respect they garner from that younger generation is amazing. Talk about how you meld. So you hire somebody over 60. How do you meld them into the current workforce?
They follow the same process that any new hire would. So they first start in production and they learn the basics. They learn the integrity of creating quality parts. Because the one thing when you're making little plastic parts, for most people, a Cracker Jack toy has the same value as a little plastic part. And that's just not true in what we make. And so when they're measuring it, they really develop that sense of pride and understanding on, yes, Accumold may sell this part for 5 cents, but it's going to save someone's life somewhere.
Wow.
And we have pictures of that. And since we protect our customers' intellectual property, we don't communicate who our customers are.
Right.
And we communicate what they do in a way that helps our employees understand how important they are, and so that they can go home and tell their kids, I'm making a pacemaker.
Wow. Brett, let's talk about the future. We've talked about the past and the current situation. What's in store? What are you most excited about?
I probably finding out what is the 6th generation of our machine. So that machine, the first gen was invented in 1985. We're on the 5th generation right now. I'm excited to see what is that sixth generation, because that's going to be pushed by the innovation of our customers, of our partners, right? We don't know what that sixth generation needs to be, but our team is excited for it. I'm excited for that, knowing that the growth is there for us. As being in manufacturing, you always worry about, okay, when is it going to dry up, right? I mean, you always are concerned. We've never had that. We know we're only going to grow. We know that just the world in general is getting smaller. We've said that tagline for decades.
And so our customers are coming to us just as much as we're going out and looking at new customers.
Tell us how to make this smaller. Tell us how we can fit this in this and that kind of thing. Well, I appreciate all that Accumold does for this community. I am excited for the audience to know what Accumold does. And I encourage your kids, if you've got kids in, even if it's clear down to middle school or even elementary school, encourage teachers to bring their classes out and get these kids excited about a career in innovation and manufacturing, because the work you do impacts so many lives. So thank you. Anything I forgot to ask that you were hoping you could share?
I would say that the parents should encourage their teachers of their students to participate in the Iowa STEM program, where the teacher comes out to the business for 6 weeks and does special projects, because then those teachers go back and are enthusiastic to the students. And that's just another angle of getting a manufacturing career to seem real to them.
I love it, because those kids do need to picture themselves there. And the more we get the teachers understanding the skill sets and the temperaments that you're looking for within your workforce, the more they can direct the kids properly.
The other thing I should say is we are making medical parts. So we do not hire people who use tobacco products.
Ooh.
So encourage those students not to start.
I love that. I hadn't even thought of that. Awesome. Thank you. If you've ever got anything to report and update us on, you have a welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning in to Made in Iowa. Subscribe, like, and share wherever you listen. Catch episodes weekly from the Iowa Everywhere studio on the BPC streaming network.